Drawn to heat and conflict, there was a visitor to Los Angeles in the summer of 1990. He had a dark purpose in mind. His arrival was in secret until he announced himself loudly to the world. And in the end, it took heroic measures to defeat him, with his death being the only endgame for his opponents. That intimidating figure with bad intentions is, of course, Danny Glover? Most of us know that Danny Glover played Mike Harrigan in Predator 2 back in 1990, but his other leading role that year is lesser known, that of Harry Mention in Charles Burnett's To Sleep with Anger.
I don't make any bones about where I'm going to spend eternity.
Glover also produced the film, using the clout he'd gained via the Lethal Weapon movies to champion Burnett's smaller indie feature. Charles Burnett is known first and foremost for his breakout 1978 film Killer of Sheep, a gritty, neo-realist document of a subsistence-level family in Watts. While not widely distributed at the time, it has accrued a large cultural status in the 40 years since, from affirmations by such influential people as Spike Lee and Steven Soderbergh.
We never were thinking about making a living off of this stuff, so it really didn't matter the end result to some extent, how perfect it was, imperfect.
It now has a place in the Library of Congress, and it's on the National Society of Film Critics list of essential movies. Burnett had made a lost film in 1983 called My Brother's Wedding, but for all intents and purposes, To Sleep with Anger is considered his second film, and certainly a significant budget upgrade from what he was used to working with.
Today, I'm here to talk to you about one of the neglected masterpieces of African American cinema, Charles Burnett's To Sleep with Anger.
It's very possible you haven't heard of this film, and even more likely, unless you're French or a devotee of cahiers du cinéma, that you haven't heard much about Burnett.
Contrast that with Predator 2, the blockbuster sequel to 1987's Predator.
Which means you're cutting off my dick and shoving it up my ass.
God damn it, Mike. The feds are calling the shots on this. My hands are tied.
It was directed by Stephen Hopkins, who received a promotion for making a Freddy movie in 1989. Schwarzenegger was out due to salary demands, and Danny Glover was in. Rumor has it that Patrick Swayze was off for the role ahead of Glover, but his knee was too shredded from Roadhouse to take the part. All eyes were on this thing, and in spite of the marketplace being primed for the continuation of the franchise, it was considered a disappointment at the time, grossing only $57 million off of a $35 million budget.
Here's a visitor from outer space, after all, and he has about the same taste and personality as Freddy Krueger or any other slasher villain.
In recent years, however, it's received a reappraisal and found new fans, including this guy right here. So aside from Danny Glover, these movies couldn't possibly have much in common with each other, right? Wrong. It's weird how much unintentional overlap there is. Maybe there was something in the water that year. The plot of Predator is well worn. Reptile alien visits violent, steamy Earth to take bone trophies back with him to outer space. To Sleep with Anger is a little more baroque. An old friend shows up unexpectedly on the doorstep of a South Central LA abode. A figure from the past back down south, and sows chaos with his presence among the extended family. I found many thematic and visual instances which repeat in both films. Plus, I love the irony that Danny Glover is the hero of Predator 2 and the villain, so to speak, of To Sleep with Anger.
I will leave you something in my will.
I'll let the comparisons speak for themselves.
Lieutenant Michael R. Harrigan, violence prone, obsessive compulsive personality.
Everybody who have been associated with Harry end up with pennies over their eyes.
You don't know what you're dealing with, and I'm warning you. Stay the fuck out my way. Boy, that's bad luck to touch a fella with a broom. You admire the son of a bitch.
Not what he does, Lieutenant, for what he is.
Like that boy next door, playing his horn. If he was a friend, he would stop irritating people. But if he stops practicing, he wouldn't be perfect at what he does someday.
10 years ago, one of his kind stalked and eliminated an elite special forces crew in Central America. There were 2 survivors.
Tell me, how did those boys die?
Emery made a lot of enemies. He had a big mouth. You guys really ought to cut down.
Ah, what's up?
Boy, this is the real South. I could sit and look at train tracks all day. We laid enough of them, didn't we?
It's taken us over 2 weeks to learn his patterns. He comes here every 2 days to feed. Seems he has a taste for beef.
Make like this is your home. Huh?
It's good to see you, Harry.
Well, I always ask to keep from wearing out welcome.
Oh, man.
No, mustn't touch. Your mother may not like you handling knives.
A fucking alien.
This thing that's killing your people and mine is from the other side. You can't see the eyes of the demon until him come calling.
Harry always shows his good side. And like the moon, the other side is black. I'm telling you, Harry is nothing but evil.
Yes. Well, here I am thinking about myself, and poor old Harry is resting on the kitchen floor.
The finest in men's neckwear since 1982.